Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Kimberly with Journal Breeze. Thank you for clicking and stopping by. This is my in-between folio. This is a folio where I am reflectively journaling. You'll see what's involved with that in a minute. And it depicts that time between late fall and before the first snow. So there's sort of like a month, oftentimes, where a lot of things you look at are dried up, and they have their own beauty. They have a true beauty. In fact, I pick them from my yard rather than throw them in the trash. And I have a vase I put them in because I think certain dried flowers and dried branches, and I don't even know what to call them because I don't really understand everything about gardens and plants and all that, but they are beautiful when they have moved into their last time on earth, right? So that sounds morbid. I'm not feeling morbid, and some of you might think this is too grayed out for you, but for me, it depicts a time of year that sort of gets overlooked because we're really involved with the holidays and all of that. And so I came across these incredible pictures, and everything I'm going to show you in this folio, for lack of a better word, everything came from kits made by Tracie Fox. Her Etsy shop is Love Junk Journals. And I used kits from years ago right up to her newest kit as of today. And I also use things from her newsletter where she includes wonderful freebies. So you can sign up for her newsletter on Tracie Fox Creative. And I had one of the best times making this. I never thought for a minute that it would turn out so involved and that it would look like this and become this, but it just kept speaking to me and telling me to do more, and I was grateful because sometimes I'm just so perfectly happy with looking at the digitals that I forget about all the additional layers that we can put on, such as buttons. This feather I just tucked in temporarily, but the brads, I've been known to make slides where I don't bother to put the little metal brads in there. The little cheesecloth at the top and the little metal piece, this type of a closure. I just had like a dialogue. There was just sort of like a driving force, and I'm excited to share it with you. I hope you like it, and might consider making one for yourself. I was moved mostly by two kits by Tracie. One is her newest. It's called Renewal, and it has prompts. It has reflective prompts printed. There's a few to choose from, and I found myself using these. I am a journal writer, and I don't use prompts often, but these were really wonderful, and so I've used them throughout, I think in very interesting ways by matching them with spaces or the images. And then the other kit that I used was called, it's actually two parts. It's called Field Notes, and Field Notes is a lot of dried flowers. There's no field notes on this. Well, the base of this folio is the Field Notes Trifold kit, and then the other parts of it are from the Field Note pages. I will list things in the description box for you, and you can check them out for yourself. I don't want to really take up a lot of time doing that. So, with that said, let's begin. And this actually doesn't hold it closed because it's got a lot going on, and I didn't want it to be really squished down and lose its shape. So this was for holding in a fold out, which I will show you now. I guess, but before I do, I just want to share this poem that's on here that really, even though I had the kits picked out, it really, gave me permission in a way to really go with that in-between time period that I wanted. This fairy says, "The sullen winter nearly spent, Queen Flora to her garden went, to call the flowers from their long sleep, the year's glad festivals to keep." And so in this field notes kits from Tracie, these to me are the dead, dried flowers. These are dried up. The stems, the leaves, everything have been dried and pressed. Same with that. And I love them for that reason. I just think, I don't have access to all of these things to press them all myself. And so they really serve twofold for me. I love the look, and I love that time of year. So I'm going to open this up first, and then we'll go back in the other direction. Oh, let me take what's out of the tag. The other thing I play up in this folio are old books. What's better than old books? And all of these things are backed so that there's, a lot of journaling space. But there's also journaling space that you don't necessarily see, so obviously is a tag. So I have connected this, with a gradiated silk ribbon. And this prompt says, "Made quietly, held carefully." When I started making this, I never dreamed I was going to bring books into it. But when I came across this incredible picture, which is a woman holding these precious little books, made me think of the Palace Queen, for one thing, on Instagram. I love her makes. And then, I started to think, wow, why not bring some cool pictures of books into it? This is from, I think, Seven Plaza. And originally I had it out like this, but it just got too bulky. So I now just squish it back like that. And more old books. These are from a very old kit. East Lake or East Wick, something like that. Hollow, East Lake Hollow, I think is in the title. This is from the newest kit. I'm not going to do that on everything. It's too much. This is one of the glossy pieces that I made. That's her Snowy Days kit, which is represented in here again. Let me try to do this in a better way. Okay, so I've added the date, February 2026, and 2 tabs come out of this spot. Still becoming. So to me, that was both the older couple who are facing, well, I think they're older, walking on a snowy eve and, walking into their later years. And then this little girl and her dog. Oh my gosh, it's so precious. And both of these are also moments gathered. And again, these are words that come in there that I think are just beautiful. And this is, of course, journaling space. And then this is another picture showing that time of year. Isn't that just lovely? And these corner pieces also come in the kit. And then I backed it with parchment paper. But what a beautiful scene. And these are the kinds of flowers that are in the arrangements that I have put in my house, with flowers that are still have their shape, but they've lost their color. So they're neutrals. And there's all kinds of interesting. And I've bought some to add that are, weren't flowers to start with, but they're neutrals. They're made out of straws and things. And I've added those to it. This is a Tim Holtz scrapbook paper. I added these color swatches to the bottom, and I filled this side with other pieces of ephemera, just little scraps I made. And then here we are. I've curled the edge so that it's clear that there's something to go for in here. And out comes writing paper. I cut out a word gently, And then I backed it with another woman and wrote and have reflection at the top. This piece of paper actually is some chapter 1 papers. Oh, I should say there's cheesecloth in there. Let's give it a little interest. Okay. So now you get the real sense of that time of year. A lot of yellows in the sky and different shades of greens and neutrals. I did put transparency over this paper, and oh, you know what? I didn't put the brads on this one. Oh, I'll have to do that. Yeah, and I also didn't put the numbers on. Funny, I spent so much time getting this part right, which looks more browned out in person than it does in this light. And then finding the right colors to go with it and not go against it. Then I forgot about the rest of it. I'm going to do that though. You'll see. Or you did. You saw on the cover. So I'll add the brads and some numbers. Oh, that's so funny. I've looked at it so many times and never noticed till now. Okay. And then this does come off. And it says a place to rest. And we have another cool tag. Not everything needs to be seen to matter. What was overlooked still remains. And that's the beauty. And to me, not everything needs to be seen to matter. It's like you don't have to have incredible, beautiful blossoms all over for the plant to matter, for the, how the scenery's changed by the whole thing. It's not just about the flowers. And the aquas back there, I really like. This is all hidden journaling space. And this was, you could use it different ways, but to me it was a pocket. And it came in the renewal kit. And then we have another set of old books. This says, Some Stories Unfold Slowly. I added these to the side. And out of this, we get another tag. This is where it begins again. These little tabs also come in the renewal kit. All these tags come in that East Lake Hollow kit. And then we have the back. This is me. At heart, I'm a researcher. I love old libraries. They're my favorite place to be in the world, surrounded by old papers and old books. And I've done a lot of research in my life, a lot of things, published in a lot of different places, and really just love being alone with a lot of information and gathering it and figuring out new ways and writing it up. That's a joy. So I had to find a way to use this picture, and it ended up being on the back. And then that time in my life mattered, so I took the prompt, This Mattered. And I stamped some foliage at the bottom. I wrapped some thin paper so it had some edging. I like that. I think I'm going to do that more often and glue it down. And that's it. Did you notice it says what was overlooked? I thought that was a great kind of intro prompt to put on there, because I do think that these kinds of things are overlooked, and I think if you start to pay attention to them, you'll come to love them. And the coloring on these are so sophisticated. There's pinks and greens and yellows and dark browns. They're really incredible. Just incredible. I believe these came from that East Hollow. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope it inspired you in some way. And thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye.